All right, from consumption, then let's shift focus to industrials. Credit Suisse has recently released a fresh report laying out their big theme, a preference for investments over consumption, on the basis that an improving relative PE should support industrial outperformance. MS Unnikrishnan, the MD of Thermax, now joins us on the telephone line with his thoughts. Mr. Unnikrishnan, good afternoon. Thanks very much for joining in. The last month when we spoke with you, you had indicated that you were still a little bit cautious with regards the orders coming in. But this report by Credit Suisse seems to suggest that this capex turnaround is just about around the corner. What are you noticing on the ground? Are orders picking up, and where are where are they coming from? What are the industries that you're seeing orders from?
So when I was cautious about it, I also mentioned the inquiry pipeline in the market for capacity building in the non-government oriented sector or non-infra oriented sector is very positive. And I was only suggesting that point of time that will the order conclusions get delayed on account of the pre-final elections, and the final election going to be happening later. Now the latest, if I've got to talk about the ground level realities, there is no retardation in the order conclusion rate in all the consumer facing industry. Such as if I have to talk about the kind of orders which are being placed in the market for capacity building comes from chemicals, not the base chemical huge ones, the secondary chemical industry. Textiles is reviving. I have seen a lot of inquiries happening from 2-3 locations. Tirupur is revived, and you are seeing northern sectors also improving. Paper and recycling of recycled paper industry is investing heavily in the country. That is at the back of e-commerce industry, because packaging with plastic withdrawal happening, paper is going to be very much in demand. Though all of us felt that with internet coming in, printing will die. Well, packaging paper is reviving substantially. Despite the reduction in the auto sales in the last month or two, auto companies and auto ancillary companies are certainly going ahead with their expansion programs. Virtually everybody. And even the tier 1 suppliers like tire companies in India are investing, and nylon companies are investing. Even carbon black, which is the black carbon which gets into tire making, everybody is expanding. I'm seeing a lot more of inquiries coming from food processing, order finalization happening in dairy. So these are the kind of varied sectors. Irrespective of who rules in Delhi, fundamentally Indian consumption is increasing. So people are investing in that area. That's the reality at the ground level.
Okay. What percentage of your revenues, sir, come in from the corporate side, and what percentage of your revenues are based on the government orders?
Thankfully, Thermax per se is not so much dependent upon the government. Okay. Predominant part of our order intake is from the industries which I mentioned about, also a couple of more to be added. There are certainly tenders which do happen. Of the 6,500 crores of orders which I do carry forward right now, approximately 1,500 would be coming from the public sector, not the government. We don't do any work for the government directly. Public sector, which of course will have like the fertilizer industry, we have government fertilizer PSUs we have orders from. We have orders from maybe 1 or 2 of them which are indirectly government oriented through a DRDO or equivalent of that.
Is not just for Thermax, but in the industry, is any sort of funding constraints that you're noticing?
For the kind of projects which I mentioned about, no, certainly no, because the ticket size of these projects are varying between 500 to 1,000 crore, and most of these companies do have not so stretched balance sheets, so their ability to be generating equity and debt is not so much of a problem. So this kind of industry and kind of order size which I mentioned about will not find it difficult for generating money. However, for the steel industry, certainly we do find people are overstretched. Cement is another area which is investment happening, which I did not mention the earlier statement when I made. Virtually every cement company in India is going for waste heat recovery based captive power plants. There are so many inquiries in the market today, and thankfully most of the cement companies in India are very healthy and fairly under leveraged. So for them to generate both equity as well as debt is not so much of a difficulty. However, the power industry, whatever inquiries could even be existing, I don't think any bank is willing to be funding them at this point of time, both on account of the call count firing, and second in terms of their current balance sheet strength.
All right. Frank and candid as always, Mr. Unnikrishnan. What about big orders? Last time you spoke, you were still a bit cautious on large orders coming through. Are there any signs of it picking up?
Certainly no. In the very large size orders of maybe 500 crore, 1000 crore kind of size orders are not in the offering in India at least. Outside also very rarely at this point of time. So most of the capital goods industries currently, barring the big projects of infra, which is road building or dam building, which I'm not counting on. I'm talking about equipment supplies and plant machinery supplies will have to be comforting with maybe a 50 lakh to maybe a 5 crore order, 10 crore order, 20 crore order, 30, 40, 50.
Okay.
Triple digit crores of orders will be a distant cry for some time to happen. But those who are well spread across the globe, those who are selling outside the country also, should be able to get those orders from outside India only. From India, I'm not expecting 500 crore kind of size of orders, at least for the next 1 year.
Okay. You spoke about the sectors which have seen a revival in capex. There's cement, there's textile, there's the food industry, as well as the auto companies are going ahead with their capex plans despite the slowdown. What percentage of your 6,500 crore order book comes in from these sectors where we have seen a revival which can provide that extra delta to your earnings?
At least 50-55% of my orders do come from this sectors only domestically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there should be an improvement in your earnings in the coming year because 50% of your order book has seen a pickup in terms of momentum.
I'm hoping that current year already we are growing. So next year also we should see growth. What percentage growth is the only question. We are hoping that next year also we should grow by a double digit.
Okay. All right, Mr. Unnikrishnan, thanks so much for joining in, hoping for a double-digit growth next year as well. Get into a break. Up next, we'll take stock of how the year has been for the banking stock. Stay tuned.